Hi there. Today we're going to be having a look at question 2 from the 2019 Free State Preliminary paper. Remember, this one is a slightly modified 2018 Northwest paper, so if you have access to that one, a lot of this will apply for that too. Alright, please have a look at the web page. You're going to find the question paper in PDF format as well as the data files for the questions. I'm going to have the question paper open on the side panel on the right of this window as we work along. Extract the data files in a suitable folder and then open question 2 DPR. You should also notice that there is DataMDB, the database that we're going to be working with, in this folder as well. Right, let's have a look at what we have. A form. Notice that the database components in this particular instance are ADO connectors, the adoTables, the adoQuery are all on the form. So there's no separate data component that we're going to be working with. We're going to be referring to everything as it stands on this form. Right, have a look at the question paper. You get a bit of a description of the table layout. There's a table clients, which has a client ID, a name, a surname, an email and a cell phone number, and a little example of the data. Then you also have a DVD table with a DVD number, title, genre, year, price restrictions, and current owner. The current owner of the film will be the person who has the film in their possession. I'm just going to refer to this up in the question paper as well. You'll notice that the client ID of the shop is 0. In other words, if the shop is the owner of the film, then the ID will be 0. Right, here we are. When the DVD out image is clicked, the DVD out tab sheet will show and the file, the info of the clients will be added to the CMB client component. So that is here. We have already the image click event, and that shows the particular component. So this is all given for us. We don't have to worry about anything. Things swap over when the different images are clicked. When the DisplayDVD button is clicked, do the following. Right, let's go along to tab. You'll notice that there are 3 tabs. The first tab is going to be this one, DVD out. This tab will be the one used for the ADO table part of the question paper. So when the DisplayDVD button is clicked, that's this one over here, the user has entered the number of the DVD they want to rent, and we have to search through the database to see if the DVD exists, display a message if it is not found. If it is found, check to see if it is in the shop, display a message if it is not available. And lastly, if it is available, display the title and genre in the labels, which you will find in this little blank box. They don't have any text in them at the moment, but they are still there. Okay, so let's go to DisplayDVD. Here we are. Now the first thing is we're going to try and see whether the DVD exists. There are 2 ways that we can do this. The first one is I can filter the database and see if the filter returns any records. The second way is that I can search through the table. Seeing as the question says search through, I'm not going to use a filter for this one. I'm going to use a search routine. So we're referring to the TableDVD, GBLDVD.first, while not TableDVD.eof, while we haven't reached the end of the table, and my TableDVD, and I have to check the field name in a moment, is different to the value in edit, whatever the edit box's name. I just want to check that. The edit is named adoDVD NR. So DVD NR dot text. Remember, in the question paper, you'll see that in the DVD table, DVD number is a number, which means I may have to convert this to an integer to be able to use it. Do TLDVD dot next. This is going to process the table, searching for that particular DVD, but I can stop the loop, exit the loop, either when I find the DVD or when I've run out of DVDs to test. I need to check and see which one of these it was. Don't forget, while I'm at it, that because I'm using two criteria, I need to indicate to Delphi just how we are looking at these criteria. If we can use exactly that again. So this is going to happen if I did not find the DVD. Again, and they want us to show a little message that looks like that. By the little icon in the image shown, this means this is a message dialog. So I show the message, and you'll see there we start with a string, DVD not found, and then we need the dialog type, which is empty error, and we need just the OK button, so that's MB OK, and there is no help context, so we set that to 0. And then we can exit this routine. We're done with, we couldn't find this particular DVD. Now the options are to test to see whether the DVD is in the shop. If we have a look at the table, the current owner is a number. If you have a look at the table data structure, so if TBLDVD, and then the field is current owner, and if it's different to 0, then it's not in the shop. So again, we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're just going to show a slightly different message. And the message in this particular instance is DVD currently not available. And the last one, I can now assume that it is available, so I need to set the two labels, label title and label genre, to use values from the fields in the current record. So label title dot caption equals, and it is TableDVD, and this time the field is, let's just check the names. We're taking the field title and label, the second label that we have to work with is this one, label genre dot caption DVD, and looking at the data, it is the genre field in the table. And there we are. So let's test quickly. Make sure you save your work. And play. Alright, that error is because that should be an array of buttons, and I'll have the same error here. Even though there's only one button, it is still an array of buttons. Right, DVD out. Here, let's add a random DVD. And that error is because, if we break over here, I couldn't remember what the name of that field was and then forgot to get back and fill it in. We are checking to see whether the ID field, if we have a look here, it is DVD-NR. So DVD-NR is different to that. And I'll also have to do that over here. So just copy that. Let's put that in there. Save and run. Right, let's test again. One, DisplayDVD. All right, that one exists. Is there one that we can test to see whether it will pick up if the DVD doesn't exist? Here's one, number 4. Let's see what happens if we put in a 4. DVD not available. The last DVD in the list is DVD number 99. So let's see what happens with that one. And there we are. First bit done. So on to the next question, which is down here, 2.3. When the DVD higher button is clicked, do the following. DVD higher is this button here. We're going to select the name and surname of the user that wants to hire from the combo component. And if we have a look at the combo component, you'll see it already is populated. This populates that DVD button. That actually comes from question 2.1. I'm assuming that this was actually a question that one had to complete in the Northwest paper, but here it is given code. So that is already done for you. We're going to press OK, use the client's name and surname, and filter the table to determine his or her client ID. So we do that in this button. So we're going to be working with the clients table. That's TBL clients dot filtered, and we're going to edit the filter. TBL clients dot filter. We're going to be looking at the name and surname fields. So I'm going to be referring to name, and I'm going to be referring to surname. It'll be name is equal to something, and surname is equal to something. These two values I will have to get from that combo box. The values in the combo box, if one have a look at the code, you will see adds the name to the client surname separated by a space. So while a little bit clumsy, we're going to have to split those again using some sort of pos copy delete type exercise. So var, give us a temporary variable, string. It's not a good idea to work directly in the code from the combo box. We might be editing that and we need it later. So stmp equals cmb, just check the name of that component. That is cmb client, singular, text. Remember, a combo box has a text property just like an edit box. So I'm going to have to find the position of the space. P equals position of a space in my temporary string. And now I want name, so let's give myself and 2 strings to hold these. I just want to make sure that these strings are not used somewhere already. It looks like that's fine. And there we go. So S name, we can copy from ST and P, starting at the first character, P minus 1, and the surname we will delete from ST and P, 1 to P, and surname will be what's left. So over here, name equal to S name. I'm not done yet, but let's put it in anyway, and plus surname and surname is equal to S surname. Remember that these are strings, so they have to be interpreted by strings in the database itself. That means quoted str and quoted string again. There we are. That should be the filter. GBL clients which we set to true. Now, having filtered the string, what's the next part? Change the value of the current owner field in the DVD table to the client ID field found in the clients table. So we've just found the client ID. That will be the client ID of the record that we've just filtered this out. It can show only one filter, and we're going to have to refer to the current owner field of that particular table. As with many questions in this particular question paper, this presupposes that you are clicking on the buttons in the right order. If I were to run this without having executed the first button, the row pointer for that table would not be in the correct place, and who knows what DVD I would be hiring out. So let's do this. We are going to refer to TableDVD. I'm going to be changing a value in TableDVD, so I need to put it into edit mode, TBLDVD, and what I'm going to be changing is the customer number. If I have a look at the current owner field, current owner, and we're going to make it equal to the value in table clients. And this time we're going to be referring to the table clients client ID field. I've left out an inverted comma. There we go. Having done that, don't forget to post. We're changing the table DVD table, so TableDVD.post. And there we go. Let's run this and see what it does. We're going to DVD out. I'm going to choose DVD 1, display it. Let's book this out to Stoffel. Okay. And We can exit this. I'm going to have a look at the database table, DVDs, and you'll see that God Bless Aussie is now current owner number 2. What I've left out of this question though, the last little bit there, it says display a suitable message if the transaction was completed successfully. So we're going to create another message box. There we go. And it's not going to be an error message this time, it's going to be information. And DVD successfully hired. It should be noted at this point that the TableDVD post is a procedure. It doesn't return success or failure. So, and to the extent that any messages are reported depends on the database driver itself. So we have to assume that it is successfully completed. So, on to section B, the SQL section. Right, for 2.4, when the DVD in image is clicked, display all the DVDs that are currently not in the shop in the DVD in component. So we're now going to TableDVD in, and when this is shown, this must appear. Remember, this is shown when the DVD in image is clicked, which means this is an event that will happen as part of the processing of this image. And we are given a space for it over here. We're going to select, whenever we ask to display something, that's select, and we have to display all the DVDs not in the shop. So select, I assume that we're going to display its titles, title, from, and the table's name. Remember too now that we have to refer to the name of the table in the database, not the ADO component. And the name of the title in the database is DVD. From DVD, where current owner different to 0. That's the basic SQL, so let's add it in. I'm going to give myself space for a few lines. And of course, don't forget that your SQL statement also stops with a semicolon. So there we are. Save, and we can test this quickly. DVD in, and there we are. Just the titles at the moment. Right, on to the next question. 2.5. When the button Client OK button is clicked, do the following. Have the user select a client ID from the client combo box. We are going to be in that. There is the client combo box. Display all the DVDs that are current. Okay, we're looking to see how many DVDs a particular client has when this button is pressed. So we're going to be selecting all the DVDs where client ID matches a particular client. Remember, we're going to be referring to the name of the client in that combo box. I just want to check how it is displayed in that combo box. Not going to search through the code for it, we're just going to go here and check. Okay, it's just the client ID, so we don't have to do any fancy processing to separate out the values. I don't have to do any inner joins or anything like that either. My SQL is then going to be select. We're going to be showing the DVDs again, so title from DVD, where, and this is current owner. Equals, and we're going to compare to a value that comes from the combo box. What's going to come from the combo box is just a number, an ID, so plus CMB, and it is client. Okay, client in, rather, there we go, dot text. And we can add that to the SQL text property. Again, give myself a few lines to work with. Select title. Remember, if they ask you to show more fields, you're going to have to include the other fields in the select line. But nothing really is specified in this particular question. That out, and there we go. And remember also, if a wildcard is required, then that will have to be like. There's no wildcard in this one. Okay, save. 2.6. Sorry, I've missed out some of the question. The client must pay 5% of each DVD's price. Calculate how much he or she must pay and display the total in the labeled total component. Okay, at this point, I realize I haven't read the entire question. It's always a good idea to read the whole question before you start answering, because sometimes stuff gets thrown in towards the end of the question, which is going to influence how you go about answering. And I made the mistake of not doing that this time. So we see here, the client must pay 5% of each DVD's price for the renting of the film. Calculate how much he must pay and display the total in an LBL component. There are a few ways we can go about doing this, and it's not clear from the question whether you're supposed to use a calculated field in the SQL or process afterwards. We are actually going to have to involve a measure of both, because to calculate the 5% on the price as part of the SQL statement means a calculated field, but then to do an aggregate sum function to add everything together would be a second type of calculated field, which would require a nested SQL statement, and we haven't done that as part of your syllabus. So I'm going to have to post-process the SQL statement using a while loop to add all the totals of the rented DVDs together. That means the 5% calculation could be part of the SQL as a calculated field, or part of the while loop doing the post-processing anyway. To do it as a calculated field then, I would add a second field, price times 0.05 as rental, and I could then refer to this rental field that I've created in my post-processing where I add everything together. Or I could just leave this with just the price. I'm going to need the price field in this SQL statement because I need to refer to it later when I add the totals together. I'm going to leave this in the SQL statement. Right, let us process this particular query. And we can process it in exactly the same way as we would process an ADO table. adoQ1.first while not adoQ1.eof do, and that will enable us with adoQ1.next to run through the entire query. Now all I have to do is add everything together, and for that I'm going to need a temporary variable to hold my total price, so var total, and when they say number we aren't told what type this is exactly. As soon as I'm using a percentage though, that means I'm going to be ending up with a currency or floating point type. We can use a floating point type, real. As always, make sure you initialize your variables. You want to make sure that that variable has no value when we start adding our rental price. And total equals total plus adoQ1, and we're going to refer to the rental field that we created. There we go. If I didn't use a calculated field and instead I left it at that, then instead of rental I would over here use price, and I would multiply it by 0.05 at that point. But I'm going to stick to using the calculated field version instead. Right, last thing, LBL, and the label's name is total. Dot caption is, remember, I'm going to have to convert this into a string. So float to string. We aren't told how we're supposed to format it. You can format it if you want. Float to string F, and the value is in total. We can choose how we're going to display it. I'm going to use FF currency for this because it is a currency, and precision, and the decimals, and that should do the job. Make sure you save. Let's test. Remember, we edited client number 1 earlier in testing, so let's check to see how many he's got. He's got 3, and that is his rental due. Our calculated field is the one that displays on the right here. Right, last question from the database section, 2.6. When the DVD return button is clicked, change all the DVDs currently selected back to 0. Clear the label total component. Okay, DVD return. So we're going to go through and set all of these back in SQL. This will be an update statement. Update. The table we're going to be updating is DVDs. And we're going to set the current owner field. We'll just check that that is the correct field. There we go. We're going to work with current owner. Go back to the question. Current owner equals 0. And that's it. There's no where clause for this one because we're not doing this for any particular owner. We're doing it for all the owners. So nice, short and sweet, just the 2 lines. Update DVD. And set current owner is 0. Add the those together. The value is a number, so we don't use a quoted string or anything like that. That's simple. And the last thing is we must just clear that label. So LBL total dot caption is an empty string. There we go. Save. And that's it. End of question 2. In the next video, we'll have a look at question 3, which is the object-oriented question. So, see you soon. Bye for now.